Welcome. My name is Shaida, and it is a very special day for me. It is my birthday. As this is a birthday special episode, I remember last year I did an episode on my birthday, basically going over what it's like to be a Black conservative in a very liberal world and how I became to be a conservative. And it's about a few episodes back, so if you want to check that out, you can. And for this episode, I'm going to be going over one of the highlights of the past year for me, and that was being able to walk up the steps of Capitol Hill and being able to sit down with congressmen and women from all different backgrounds and walks of life. How was I able to get to DC and being able to go to Capitol Hill? Well, last year I spent most of the year as a delegate for a nonprofit organization known as the National Foster Youth Institute. And in case you don't know what that is, it's basically an organization that is centered on foster care issues, and by helping the child welfare system, they recruit different foster youth, current or former, from different areas across the country to come to DC, and being able to sit across the table from legislators and being able to discuss issues that are near and dear to our hearts and that will help the foster care system on a federal level. On their website, the Foster Youth Institute states that revolutionizing the American foster care system through education, action, and lifting up foster youth voices, as well as dedicated to ensuring that current and former foster youth have a seat at the table alongside legislators, policymakers, decision makers, families, and advocates. This organization the startup of this organization was helped by a former representative, Karen Bass. She was a former congresswoman in the House from 2013 to 2022. She served for District 37th, for the 37th District in California. And as of today, she is the current mayor for the city of Los Angeles. So she stepped down from her position as a representative and decided to go on a campaign for the mayoral seat for the Los Angeles, and that's where she is today. Going to Capitol Hill for the first time there was something so historical and nostalgic about the place. When I walked through the doors, and I didn't even walk through the doors. I literally after walking past security, because it was a time where, they were very serious about security after what happened on January 6th. So after making through security, walking down the halls, I saw so many different paintings, and just memorizing like different details about the floors, the ceiling, and being able to just soak in the memory, because I just know that like this was like my first time coming to Capitol Hill, and it's just so historical and so nostalgic. I just don't know and how I could put into words of how it was being able to walk through those halls. Anyways, I went to Capitol Hill 2 times. On the first day, we went to do an auditorium went to the auditorium to do some sort of assembly where former Congresswoman Karen Bass was going to be there, as well as a few other congresswomen. I don't remember who exactly. And we were basically asking them questions about their knowledge about the foster care system, what their thoughts are on certain issues. How can we as foster youth bring this information to our current communities, and how we can help bring a better impact. So when you're a delegate for the National Foster Youth Institute, you basically spend months prepping for this week, because it's you and about 20 to 30 other delegates who are either current or former foster youth, who are basically scattered throughout the country. And you're doing seminars, meeting up monthly to do seminars to prep for this event, and what to do and what not to do, and how to interact with your person of Congress. And so over time, throughout the months leading up to this event, they had us do questionnaires and try to see where we live and who could be best match up with as far as our congressperson. So each delegate was getting a person of Congress, meaning that we were going to be paired up with a representative in the House or a senator. But most of us got paired up with a representative in the House. I got paired up with a representative from the state of Virginia, and I will go a little bit more into that later. And so what is the point of Shadow Day? Shadow Day is an opportunity for us as former and current foster youth to be able to discuss issues that we see are troubling for the foster care system, troubling for families, troubling for even the children and the youth. We're basically representatives in our own way for the foster care community, for the kids, for the thousands and thousands of kids in the foster care system. And we had seminars to focus on systemic issues surrounding law enforcement, churches, cultural issues. How do we handle that dynamic of multicultural families when a child comes into the home who isn't the same race or even ethnicity or cultural background as the foster families? And we also got prepped to how we were going to be able to discuss issues with our person of Congress. My person of Congress was Representative Bobby Scott from Virginia. He has served in the House of Representatives since 1993. He is a Democrat from Virginia, 3rd District. He attended Harvard University and graduated in 1969, and attended Boston College Law School in 1973. And after doing research on him, he's pretty much a run-of-the-mill as a Democratic representative goes. He basically stands to the left of me. He's very progressive when it comes to issues around the healthcare system, workplace. And so this was going to be the person who I was going to be able to ask questions, sit down with, being able to have a back and forth conversation. As you know, I am a not a congresswoman. I am a conservative. So, but politically, socially, there are issues that me and my person of Congress, Representative Bobby Scott, are going to disagree on. But I kind of push aside my conservative values because I know that the issues surrounding the foster care system and what is impacting foster youth on a daily basis is much more bigger than that. And I was able to ask what are his thoughts on mental health issues. What are his thoughts on how we can better recruit foster parents, because we have such a shortage on foster care parents in this country. And one of the ideas that I have is how that churches should become more involved in the foster care process. I've seen stories of where churches would announce that there is a child in the community that needs a place to sleep, and wondering who will be able to volunteer to help house this child. And I think churches are a very great way to help with recruiting foster parents, because there are so many good-hearted people in the church that are willing to serve and do and take care of the communities that they live in. Another issue that I brought up that I think would be so great would be that we should see more law enforcement and more involvement from law enforcement in the foster care system. There's been too many instances of child neglect, child abuse that goes on in the foster care system between foster child and the foster parents, or even the child and the biological parents. And I think alongside social workers, I think if we had uniformed officers come on visits to check on the foster care child, because there are some things that a foster parent may try to play off with a social worker, but you know that once a police officer presence is known, they're going to be able to ask the questions, and their knowledge and their training is just so much more in depth than a social worker is. And just the pairing up with social workers and police officers that are coming into the homes and checking on children and making sure that the child is in a safe environment will probably be much better. And I think that was also an issue that I raised to Mr. Bobby Scott's attention. The experience of being able to sit down with the congressmen was pretty underwhelming. I'm not new to being in the same room or the same atmosphere as politicians. Back when I was in high school, I did a short internship as a student page for the General Assembly back when I was in the foster care system in Maryland. And I spent a week just attending to my duties as the student page for delegates, House delegates, and state senators alike. And so I'm not new to the whole political atmosphere. I think I understand how to conduct myself, and how to approach a representative or just even a leader who's been elected by his or her people. And afterwards, after the Shadow Day experience, we got to go to an area in the building, in the Capitol Hill building, where we were able to have brunch, or sort of like a luncheon. And there were other representatives from other states. There were a lot of representatives from California, because Karen Bass, I think it's because it had to do something with former Congresswoman Karen Bass and her influence. And so there were just a lot of Congress people from California. And I also got to meet the majority leader for the Democrats, Stony Hoyer. In case you don't know who Stony Hoyer is, he is he is from the state of Maryland, like me, and he is the majority leader for, I don't know why I flaked, the majority leader for the House of Representatives at the time. And he tried to give a speech for us, and it was really telling how disconnected he was from his audience, or the fact that he doesn't know how to read a room, because he was trying to make jokes and try to be uplifting, I guess, like fun and relaxed, and nobody was laughing to his jokes. Everybody was pretty much dead silence when he was speaking. I'm not pretty sure if it was the fact that he was just there, or maybe nobody was pretty much excited to see him. But after he gave his speech, he kind of just scurried off. He has a group of people there ready to just pull him away the second he put down the mic and was able to be free. The same thing, I also got to meet Nancy Pelosi, who was the former House Speaker now, but when I was in DC, she was still the House Speaker, and she was just the same way. Not a lot of people were too excited to meet her, and it just proves that there are a lot of politicians in this room that are just so disconnected from everyday citizens. One exciting thing that did happen when I was on this trip is I got to firsthand witness the inauguration of former Representative Mayra Flores from Texas. I was actually in the building when she was being sworn in, and afterwards, when she was doing a press conference in front of the cameras, I saw representatives from the House standing by her side. I also saw Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I love, and I just basically just stand there and watch her give her speech, and it was incredible. And I know that she's just such a dynamic woman just by watching her and listening to her. And I knew, and it's so sad that she's not in the House of Representatives, that she's no longer representing the people of Texas as a congresswoman, because I really feel that she would have done some really great things. And so what have I taken away from the experience of being able to go to Capitol Hill, of being able to sit down with politicians from across the aisle whose political and social views I don't oftentimes agree with? I've learned that we need more everyday Americans running for office. The people who are in Capitol Hill right now, most of the people who are occupying offices in Capitol Hill are so disconnected from us. And we need more people, I would like to see more blue-collar Americans run for office. I would like to see more Americans who come from very disenfranchised backgrounds run for office. Maybe one day I will run for office. Maybe. I'm not going to put that out there. Just a maybe. I'm not really sure if I'm the type to run for such a high seat like that, but I know for a fact that something got to change in DC. it's such a swampy land. And one thing that I have taken away from the experience is that me as a former foster youth, I am a part of a rare breed. I have walked a very difficult life, being born to a very challenge, I guess you could say, very emotionally and spiritually challenged mother, being abused, and then going to the foster care system and being abused and degraded by the adults that were supposed to take care of me and protect me, to being told that I'm never going to amount to anything in life. And just now, just walking on the steps of Capitol Hill, and just being able to use my voice for thousands and thousands of foster youth across the country. I'm never going to forget about that experience, for sure. And I just know that I'm going to be able to do good things for my community, and be able to be a light for children who are still in the foster care system, for children who still feel the things that I felt when I was in the foster care system, who still haven't seen the light yet. I want to be that person that offers them a light and be able to help them see that there are good things coming. And one of the things that I like to go back to when I feel that I'm in a dark space, it's in Matthew 5, and it's in the Beatitudes. It says here in verse 3, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." And I'm just so grateful that as of today, I get to walk around this earth as a daughter of God, knowing that I have a home and a place, and that there is a Father who has adopted me, who has made me his own, and who will never take me for granted. That is the kind of excitement and thrill that I get on an everyday basis. And that is the hope and joy that I pray that so many people who come from the foster care community will have. And I hope that they will able to have an ounce of the hope and joy that I have felt. Because even though that I'm here today, I'm able to record my podcast episodes, I'm able to work, I'm able to provide for myself, there are a lot of people, a lot of my peers who have walked a similar path as me, who still haven't been able to figure it out yet. And that really breaks my heart. And I just pray that that we just have more people just not looking at us and think that we're just a statistic, that we're just degenerates, that we're just going to be disregarded, that we have so much value and so much worth, and there is a Father in heaven that believes in, that sees that each every one of us has great worth, and that we're able to do good things. And I just know that one day I'm going to come back. I know that one day I'm going to come back on Capitol Hill. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I just know that that cannot be my first and only time on Capitol Hill. I just know one day I'm going to be back, and I don't know how that's going to happen. But I just know that as long as I keep the perseverance and the momentum up, I know that God could have good things in store for me. And who knows, maybe one day I will be the next Congresswoman Shaida Bango Bango. Congresswoman Shaida Bango Bango. That kind of has a nice ring to it. Maybe not exactly like that, but anyways. Well, once again, this has been Her America. My name is Shaida. Happy birthday to me, and I hope you have a great day.